Right, we live today. We doing the best of Pump, best of Chris Rivers. Oh, we live already. Going live today, early. Schedule early, huh?
What's
Chris,
good? What's good, bro?
salute. Salute,
Man.
my G. How's everything?
Yo, feeling great, man. Feeling great. Walked into some heat.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to play a little bit of big pun. They take it to Chris Rivers,
Oh,
but
my fault. I'm like super
you
punctual.
early. You early. You
Nah,
early. You
yo,
early.
I'm sorry. My manager hit me. He said 7 o'clock. He told me a time. I'm there. My fault. I'm
Yo,
early for a rapper. For a rapper, that's it.
first and foremost, thank you for being here with me. You know
Yo,
what I
love,
mean?
bro.
And another thing, thank you for always supporting me when it comes to like New York, New Jersey. Every time you come to Jersey for an interview, it's our second
Yo,
time linking up. You know,
that's a fact,
and
bro. Thank you for always showing
and
love,
and,
man. You deserve it right back.
and you supported me with the hip hop and Latin hip hop with the Redman joints and stuff like that too. So I wanted to thank you for that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, love, bro. Thank you for having me. So,
How's
sorry for
everything with you,
interrupting
my
the
bro?
vibe. Yeah.
How's everything with you?
Yeah, everything's good, brother, man. Just staying healthy, building up the immune system. I got a project coming June 18th called SIBB, Self-Inflicted Bubble Boy. Got a single coming this week. Been shooting stuff, just, staying ultra busy, bro, and just, developing myself through the apocalypse and just keep going.
Okay. I got a couple of questions. I was doing my little research. That's okay. You know what I mean? I was doing
Oh,
my little
yeah, man.
research.
I prefer good questions and research, man. Anything less is like
I
redundant.
know that a lot of people always trying to compare you to your father or like tell me how's that been where you trying to get your own recognition instead of you feeding off of your pops and stuff like that. Tell me about that movement.
Yeah, I mean I've been doing this for 17 years, so it's one, and I'm 26, so it's one of those things that's like, it has its phases. Initially it was one of those things that was like, an honor. Then it got to the point where it started hindering my career to a degree because people expected me to be like him, opposed to being like myself, and there was expectations and weird stuff. Then it started getting in the way business wise, and then like a double-edged sword. But ultimately, like once you get past that certain other point, and now I'm here where it's like I'm fully aware that my father is, one of the most legendary legends that ever existed. So it's an honor to be compared to him when people are talking about skill level or greatness or even legacy. And it's dope. And I got to the point now in my career where most people know me as for who I am, Chris Rivers, and my work that I put in as well. So it's a nice balance right now. I definitely, can't wait for the day where, I go on a interview or I go anywhere and it's all Chris Rivers. You know what I mean? Like that'll show me that I definitely solidified myself to a degree where my career isn't so attached to my father on the moniker of success or who knows me, but just on the fact that I added to his legacy. So it's definitely a journey, and it's definitely the north star that I pick, that I have, that shows me how far I've gotten.
And then with your skills, it's something that you study or it was something that was already in you as well, like your skills with your rapping skills and all of that.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of both. I definitely put in my 10,000 hours. You know what I mean? Like even being his son, I had to make sure that I wasn't trash. First of all, you know what I mean? Like so, I definitely put in a lot of work. But I do think some is genetic. Like when people ask me that question, I always say like, it's not like I directly got a rapping gene from my father, but it's one of those things that like your mindset and the way that you think often gets transferred down to your children. And I think that the way that my brain works and the way that I see the world and the way that I decide to articulate myself, that was passed down. And my infatuation with words and probably my technical level of how I like seeing things combined and like other stuff like that. And I love reading, and so did he. And he was fiercely intelligent. So it's definitely one of those things that I see some genetics in there. You know what I mean? But it's definitely a lot of hard work that went into it to cultivate that natural talent. So I'm feeling blessed.
And the name Dragon, tell me about the name that you have that you're flowing with.
Oh yeah, Dragons Up, man. Like it's one of those things. Like not to get into a whole religious thing, but like when I was younger, I had a friend that asked like, "Yo, do you believe in dragons?" And I said, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yo, do you?" And he laughed at me. No, I said, "Yeah," and he laughed at me, and I was like, "Do you believe in God?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, so you can believe in an all-powerful, infallible being that can create the universe from pure nothingness and controls everything, time, present, and future, and multi-universes, but you can't believe in a dinosaur with wings." Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? Dragons are like these things that are like mythical, magical. They always represent power. They always represent strength. They always represent like, you know, just that highest form of being. And it's so easy to believe in, but for some reason people find it difficult to believe in. So I made the dragons a metaphor for your self-belief in yourself. So it's like, if you're a dragon, you're one of those people that believe in yourself regardless if it's hard to, and people should believe in themselves more. So when I say dragons up, it represents us being our best versions of ourselves and always striving for improvement, and all of us rising upward, you know, together as a movement. So, you know, and I'm a nerd, so I just wanted to take something fantasy and make it real life, you know what I mean? Like, so just bringing dragons. I got hood niggas with like yelling dragon god dragons. So I'm like, all right, I made it, you know, somewhere where you know, he kills people and he's talking about dragons. So we bridge that gap a little bit.
I remember the last time you came to Jersey and I interviewed you. Um, I'm like, yo, Chris, can you do a quick freestyle before you leave? He like, just give me some words. And I kept throwing you words and you kept catching them. And tell me about that type of skills where you just take a word and you start rhyming and matching and
Yeah, that's part of the 10,000 hours, bro. It's I have a dude named he was on my last project, Gitu. There was this dude, a skit. It's called the Chronicles of Super Black, and he's a real person that I know, and he's the best like freestyler off top that I've ever met. And I used to stay up breaking night, 12 hours straight, 17 hours straight, just freestyling off the top. And a lot of people mistake like rapping and freestyling, because you know the word freestyle is different now. It's not like really off top all the time when people say like radio freestyle or freestyle this, like, but I always feel like developing your off top like freestyle game, like it's more fun. Like, it's not meant to be, you know, some people are amazing at it and that's dope, but it's not meant to be amazing. It's more meant to be like fun. So that's the funnest part, when you're not being judged and you're just like picking up the words and trying to and being quick on your toes, and you start to develop it. Anyone could do it. Like, I was trash in the beginning, and at that point I was already writing. Like, I was good at writing, but I was like struggling like cat hat, like, and you have to develop your on the toesness, and you have to learn how to your speaking vocabulary and your rapping vocabulary are two different vocabularies. So you have to like just hone that over time. And if you do that shit every day, man, like, you just gradually get better and better to the point where it's like, oh shit, like I could rhyme words off top and I do that, but I'm all right. Like, I've seen people who are amazing at it. Like, I'm cool. Yeah.
all right, all right. I was asking, I had an interview with Cuban Link, and I asked him about you. He told very highly about you, and he said he did a track with you when you was like 9 years old. Tell me
Yeah.
about that joint.
Yeah, I vaguely
Is that is
remember it.
that when you was is that when
I
you was in a rap group back in the day when
it was
or that
around
was
that
after
time.
that?
Yeah, no, it was around that time. I don't have the best memory when it comes to chronologically placing things in like the correct order, but yeah, around that time, like 8, 9 years old, that's when I was in Three Down. Three Down. It was me, Benzino's son, Lil Ray Ray. He goes by Chavo now. That's Corey Ray's brother and Benzino's son. And then Lil James as well. We was all in a group called Three Down, and we was opening for Ja Rule. We was up there with DMX, like, we was wilding. Like, yeah, we had a lot of stuff back then, and it actually there was like a clause in the contract. Like, there was around a time where Eminem was beefing with Benzino, I believe, and because like we was signed, I think it was in I forgot what it was, but it was like a clause in the contract that made it so like everything got off the table. And since then, I just been doing, you know, my own thing. But around that time, yeah, I believe if I was around like 9 years old, then yeah, I was in a lab with him. I remember it. You know, as a memory is not like a lot of this shit is regular to me, so it's not like a standout. Like, oh my God, this was a life changing moment. Like, it was another day in the studio. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it happened. It was cool.
And you guys still talk, or y'all working? Would there be a track or song together with him, or something like that with Cuban? How's the
Yeah.
relationship with him?
Oh yeah, we could like. There's no bad blood between me or anybody from like my father's crew or anything from that world. Like, I do my best to just not inherit any issues. You know what I mean? And in regards, like, yeah, like, he's always been cool. Like, you know, it's love. But you got to remember, like, my father died when I was 6, so a lot of these people who were considered close friends or who looked like they were close friends to him or part of a group, a lot of these people didn't keep extensive contact with a 6-year-old, you know, and whether people think they were supposed to or not. So it's not like I have a day-to-day, every day talking to these people relationship, but if we see each other, it's cool. In regards to making music, like, I do my best to, like, I've done little stuff in the past, or even whether it's remixes to my father's stuff or freestyles, or even hopping on a record with one or two of them. But that was all political, or like when I felt like, you know, oh, maybe I should do this. But like, there's really no desire in me to like remake his stuff or to hop on records with people who were on stuff with him before, especially with me trying my best to establish my own name. I feel like doing things that would, I think stuff like that counters me establishing my own legacy and my own name. That was something that stood on its own, like directly jumping into his own records or doing stuff with people, like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, not in a sense of like there's problems, but in a sense of like, yo, like, maybe once I fully establish myself and I feel like my career is strong enough that, like, you know, I could do those things and it won't set me back. But until then, and I don't know how long that's going to take, like, yeah, I just stay away from it. Like, you know what I mean? In that context. And I just, you know, I do my own thing, but it's all love.
And I see that you know, I also work with the whole D Block Latino, so I always saw you working with D Block. And out of everybody
Yeah.
from the hip hop, I see that you real heavy, and probably you D Block as well. Tell me about that movement. You working with Styles, Sheik, Jada, the whole D Block team.
Yeah, man, they all the bros, man. Like, they big brothers to me. Styles took me under his wing. Jada and she, they gave me a lot of game. Everyone over there, like, is just so like just embracing, and I learned a lot of stuff from them early in my career. Like, they, you know, they're one of the realest, you know, groups of people that I've met. Like, it's rare that you see someone in this game, like Styles, for instance, where you know, he has genuine love for my pops, and he has genuine love for me as a person too. So without expecting anything in return, like, he just, you know, took me under his wing. So I was a good kid. He taught me, you know, game in this. He showed me a work ethic that was just amazing to me, even at his status. Like, there was nights where I broke night in the studio and he was right there on the couch across the room breaking night too, making records constantly. And, you know, I'm talking 20 years and change into the game when you're already an established veteran and you're still having the work ethic that, you know, trumps young, hungry niggas. So, you know, it's definitely fire to see them and for them to, you know, just embrace me and to, you know, teach me stuff and just accept me. And, you know, so I've worked with them a lot, and you know, and I still see them here and there and support everything that they do. So yeah, it's really amazing, man. Like, that was one of the first experiences that I had where someone really just you know, in the game, like someone I could look up to, a vet in this, and really just embrace me and really showed a lot of love. So it's amazing, man. I'm glad to have them as big brothers.
And when you got features with Styles, with Sheik, with Jada, with all of them, or mainly with Styles?
Mainly with Styles. I got like a collab with Sheik and maybe like a couple other stuff, maybe and some stuff on compilation projects. Mostly with Styles. I haven't gotten like a me and Kiss record, you know, yet. And I'm
Yeah,
sure though, like, you know, it's one of those things that, like, I'm sure I can get it, especially if I really ask. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Kiss loves me, I love him back. It's one of those things. But I just, like, I don't like asking for things. But
you
first
want
of
to
all, like,
earn it.
I like earning things, and then on top of that, I like if I were to ask for it, it would have to, like, before it's just like it just makes sense and I earn it or it happened organically. Like, you know, if I was to ask for something, it would need to be like the right moment where it's like, all right, this is when we're gonna use this bullet that's specifically unique to itself. Like, I don't have two of these shots, so I'm not gonna take it and shoot a rabbit. Like, no, I'm gonna try to hit a white whale if I have the right
Get the
shot.
right joint.
Yeah. You know, so like
Now,
you gotta be tactical with your favorites. Hmm?
this project you was talking about, is it like another album or a mixtape?
No, I mean, it's weird because, like, I call it a project because I would say it has the you know, with the way that everything is easily distributed now. Like, I could put out, I could, you know, I built a studio in my crib. I can make the music here. I could push it out on platforms that sell music, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. It's so easy to do that now that if that's the format for an album, then yeah, everything's an album. I call it a project because, like, this it's 8 records. It's about 24 minutes long, 30 minutes long, and it's one of those things, like, yeah, like, I'm dumping on it, it's dope, but I didn't give it. Not saying that I didn't give it love. I did give it a lot of love, but it's not what I consider my album, in the sense that, like, this isn't the quintessential defining project that I think is going to be like you know, the one like Good Kid, Mad City, the Illmatic, the, you know what I'm saying, like the ones that like, you know, this is like, yeah, maybe put out on platforms like an album, but this is something that I made like that's gonna hold people off while I'm working on the real, like the super like to heart, like this is Chris Rivers project. Like this one right here is thank you, Austin Benjamin, complimenting my hair. This one right here is one of those things that's like yeah, like I needed to put together a body of work, and I think it's dope and it shows growth and it's amazing. Like, but it's definitely like, yeah, like when I do my album, like that's when I'm pulling out all the cards. You know what I mean? I'm asking for all the favors. I'm hitting up producers, musicians. I'm getting collaborate. I'm making sure that it's at 1,000. You know what I mean? This one, I'm like, all right, what can I do by myself, pushing myself to the best of my ability? But it's all me on there. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that answers the question or makes it more ambiguous, but yeah.
Okay. I saw you did a featuring with an artist that I work with from Puerto Rico, Gello Star.
Yeah, Guello. Yeah. He's amazing.
How's your
Yeah, he's dope.
Spanish? Is it
Huh?
good? Is it all right? Your
What'd you
Spanish,
say?
how's your Spanish?
My
Your
Spanish,
Spanish talking.
mi español es muy limitado. Pero mi novia dominicana, so she's teaching me. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Oh,
my shit is very limited. I speak it like I'm from New York and I'm third generation. You know what I mean? Like my parents ain't speak Spanish around me. I knew enough to, you know, order shit from Caridad and like and to maybe say a few things and to pick up on some context clues, but I ain't spitting a whole verse in fluent Espanol. No, it ain't
no,
happening. Nah, not yet.
but but going back to Gello Star, you went to Puerto Rico to shoot a video with him, right?
Yeah, man. It was amazing.
And was it your first time in Puerto Rico that time, or
It
you been
was
there before?
it's like an ongoing joke because like I never get to like granted I enjoyed Puerto Rico when I went there and I enjoyed it the first time I went. That was my second time going, but I've only ever went for like business, like music. Like that time I went to shoot a video and he showed me around. It was cool, but I never went to just like straight up enjoy it and like, you know, go to the beach and like chill with the locals. The first time I had went was when I was part of Three Down and we did a whole show out there that DMX was headlining. We performed in front of like 15,000 people and yeah, it was amazing. But again, same thing. I went straight to the hotel. I did, you know, I got my hair done, did rehearsals, went straight to the show, did mic check, did the show, hopped back on the plane. Like it was like it's all work. So I'm definitely dying to go back to my homeland and just enjoy the scenery, eat a coconut, you know, slap a goat, something.
Pina Colada. And is that your first time feature with a Latin artist, or you done that before with with another Latin artist?
I'm sure I have. I'm sure I have done stuff, but like I'm gonna be real. Like I've done like at least 1,000 features, like more
Featuring.
than that. Like yeah, like I don't like, and this may sound messed up, but like I don't remember every single person or every single record that I've done. Like you know what I mean? Like I've
I
done
put
so
one
much.
together as well.
Yeah,
With
you know
one of
what
the
I mean? Like
verses, I put one together as well. With one of the verses you sent me. Now, not talking off of music, right? I want to dedicate this this interview to a friend of mine. I did a little research. I was doing my research because I feel as though I wanted to talk a little bit more from what me and you spoke before. You know what I mean? So I was doing my little research and I saw you talking about depression.
mhm,
I don't know if you remember, but if you hashtag the first time you came to the radio station and I gave you an interview in Jersey, I had one of my best friend, and he was the one that was filming while me and you was talking and you was rapping,
right.
and I didn't know he was going through depression at the time. You know what I mean? I didn't know he was going through depression, but like he looked up to you. He looked up to a lot of music, a lot of artists. I just never saw that sign in him before he took his life away. You know what I mean? I know
Man.
we all go through depression and all of that. And I was just going through. As soon as I saw that interview that you was talking about depression and all of that,
Yeah.
I started thinking about my boy Joe. His name is Joe 973. And he used to love music and he was going through something. Me as a best friend, I'm always taking him to come and record with me. He was an artist as well. He loved music. I just never I feel like I was kind of selfish. I never got to like really get to know him inside of what he was going through. Cause sometimes they don't show it. He was like
Yeah.
the nicest. He was like the peacemaker ever. You know what I mean? And he took a picture with you. He took a picture with me and you. He was filming that, and I didn't know he was going through depression. And that's when I saw an interview about you going about depression, and I wanted to ask you, um, how can you be that strong? You know what I mean? Like
Uh,
to me, he
yeah,
was kind of weak. He was kind of weak with it. You feel me? And it fucked me up because I lasted a couple of months without doing no music or whatever because I felt like this was my partner in crime when it comes to music. You know when you got that one person you could talk about music, he was it. And I didn't know when he
yeah,
passed away. I didn't know he was so talented. And then when I saw you
right,
talking about depression and everything you went through, he just clicked in my mind. So I'm like, yo, I wanted to dedicate this, even though he's probably not here, to get your point of view, how you survived that and he couldn't. You know what I mean? I just wanted to hear, and I got like 2 or 3 people that know me, that knows him, that we work with him, and I just
right,
wanted to know your opinion about just depression and how to come up
right.
off that, or how to, like, you know what I mean, survive that, or how to go through it.
Right. First of all, my condolences, brother, for real, and RP to Joe, and my condolences to his family and loved ones, and everyone that cares about him. That's depression is and suicide is one of the leading causes of death, and depression is something that I think a lot of people experience and very few people understand. I don't think that he was actually weak. It takes a lot of. I've had 3 suicide attempts throughout my life, and at all those moments, I don't know if it was strength that held me back or if it was the weakness and the fear that I didn't have the guts to finish it. I'm not glorifying suicide at all, but I think it takes a lot. I think instead of viewing the person or what that person has inside, I think you should view their external situations where you would take someone. Life is you can't, like, it's impossible to drown yourself, because your human instincts forces you to get out of, like, you get overwritten. Your rational brain gets overwritten by your primal brain, and it stops you. By nature, we're unable to do that thing. So for you to fight the nature of your existence and your chemical composition and do this thing that defies physics, it shows the level of pain that someone feels. And I don't like to describe depression as something as sadness. It's a mind state. It's a mind state of complete hopelessness that you don't that you feel this weight, and everyone experiences differently. But I think the consistency is that you feel the hopelessness. Not only do you feel the pain of the things that you're going through, but you also feel like nothing's ever going to change it, and that you almost have no control over the situation. And even if you did, it's just a mountain hurdle to get through it. And I think that what helps me is there's natural things that you could do, like, people say sometimes depression is caused by nothing. I don't think anything is happens from nothing. I think, from the creation of the universe to rain to anything, everything has a cause and effect. Whether it's too subtle for us to notice it, I do think that it's real. So I think everyone needs to realize, you have to learn yourself. That's what got me to where I am now. And I'm not saying depression isn't something that some people may completely conquer it, and that's amazing. But most people don't. Even I haven't completely conquered it. It's something that you cope with, you live with, and you learn more about yourself in order to keep it at bay. You know what I mean? And you catch the signs of yourself spiraling. So I would say the first thing is to learn yourself. Learn yourself enough to know when to catch yourself when you're going into these moments. Secondly, I think that you should do the right things, like the primal things that you could control. Like, make sure that you're healthy. Your physical health affects your mental health. Make sure you're getting sunlight. Make sure you're socializing. Make sure that you're eating right. Make sure that you're exercising. These things create the natural chemicals in your brain, such as endorphins and dopamine and things like that, that triggers sensories of happiness and other things like that. I would say that depression comes from living in a way that is not the way that you want to live. And I think that people need to also accept the fact that life innately is hard. And some of us are unprepared for the hardness of life. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things that, like, you, between you and everything you ever dreamed of, might be the field of broken glass, and it might be the field of coals, and it might be the hardest thing that you have to go through to get from where you are to where you want to be. And you have to truly ask yourself, are you willing to do that? And if you are, then you know that you got to face these trials and tribulations and not give up. And if you're not willing to do that, then you have to find a way of acceptance. And I think that's what it is. Like, once you accept yourself and love yourself, you don't need a lot of things that you thought that you needed. There are people in the street, homeless people, that are happier than millionaires. There are successful millionaires that kill themselves all the time. It's not money, it's not accolades, it's not these things. It's loving yourself and filling that hole that nothing else can fill. So I think you got to know yourself. I think you got to love yourself. I think you need to give yourself a chance, give yourself a fighting chance. And by that, I mean going outside, exercising, doing things, like actually doing things, not just wallowing in it. And there's no one that's going to get you out of it but yourself. You know, no matter how many people told me the things that reassured me and the opposite of what my depression was telling me, you're worthless, you're a piece of shit, you're this, you're that, you're all those things. No matter how many people call me talented, beautiful, priceless, all these things, none of it mattered as much as my opinion to myself. So I think you really need to change that opinion of yourself. You need to learn how to love yourself. You need to learn how to take care of yourself. And yeah, you just need to do it. And there's no sure shot way. That's just what I did for myself. And to anybody out there with depression, please, like, just give yourself a fighting chance. You know, keep going. And I hope to see you alive another day. And again, my condolences to Joe. And thank you for bringing up this topic, June, because I think it's important. And I think that we need to raise our understanding. Like, and I would, you know, and I would appreciate it. And I'm sure you would appreciate it in your heart if you didn't view him as, not to say that you said it in a bad way at all, of course, but he was very strong, you know, for dealing with it for as long as he did. And if he had more of a chance, and if he had more understanding and knowledge about what he could do to feel better or to get better, he wouldn't have ended his life so soon. So, you know, definitely, I think we need to spread more awareness of it, and you're doing
But
that,
I
man.
wasn't
So
trying to say
I
that he was
appreciate you.
weak. You know, I mean, I was
Oh,
just trying
no,
to
no, of
break it
course,
down.
of course,
You know,
of
and
course.
then like that shit hit me hard where I started thinking like, even where did I go wrong as a friend to hold him down? Cause like we had a mission to accomplish. You feel me?
Right.
Like I saw him like he was mad talented. I feel as though he was more talented than me. You know what I mean? And another question, well, is it something that you got to fight with yourself, or something that, because I always felt like I could have helped him, or I could have did more for him, or even take him out more, because he was everywhere with me. He the first one I took with me to go see Redman live on stage. We went
Right.
on tour every time. So it's like I never saw that coming. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
I never saw
it's
that
yeah.
coming.
You usually won't. The saddest people inside make everyone else feel good about each other. You know, they're the life of the room, because, you know, even me, I try to make other people feel happy because of my inability to make myself feel happy. I absorb people's moods, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe if everyone around me is feeling good and having a good time, maybe I will feel like I'm that way
And,
too, and I'll
and that
absorb
right
that.
there, my bad to cut you off. He was
Nah,
just like that. Like he was just a
exactly.
straight peacemaker. He like, yo, June,
Right.
like I know they didn't come late or they didn't come to the studio, but don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Like he was always the
He knows the other
peacemaker.
side. He knows the other side. He dealt with that. So like, you don't want to fall into that. And yeah, man. Like, I don't think you should blame yourself. Like you said, it really is you versus you. I don't know if you ever watched old Transformers movies, and he was like, "Yo, it looks like an Optimus Prime will come down." He's like, "It's just me and you, Megatron," and Megatron be like, "No, it's just me, Optimus." And that really is like, no matter what you do, you're fighting yourself. You're overcoming yourself. The voices in your head, the way that you speak to yourself is so important. That's why affirmations are important. Before you do something, your subconscious mind controls 95% of your behavior. That means consciously you think about only 5% of what you do. The other 95% is controlled by subconscious conditioning, society, how you grew up as a child, fears, confidence, all these things is still instilled in you since youth, or through patterns. You know what I mean? So the way that as soon as you're about to do something, the confident person will be like, hell yeah, I'm gonna just do this. That's because their self-talk is good. The normal person, or the depressed person, or someone who's not, like, they're gonna start talking negatively to themselves. And it may not be a conscious thought of like, oh no, you're a worthless piece of shit, you're not gonna do it. But as soon as you think about doing something, if you feel that lack of confidence, if you even think about failure, that's because your subconscious mind is trained to think that way. And just like your subconscious mind is trained to think that way, it can also be trained to think that you're low, or that you're down, or that you're powerless, or you can't do anything. And that means it also can be trained to think that you are powerful, that you can do this stuff. And it was only him. Like, granted, you probably could have helped in the context of you know, something that day, or some, you know what, but you can never blame yourself. Like, ultimately it was him that had to pull himself out of the hole. It was him that had to want to be helped, and
So
once, you
I
know what I'm
probably
saying,
could
like,
have helped him that day, but some way somehow he still had
it,
plans on that, or it
yeah,
just been
you know,
built for a
that's not
long
a spontaneous thing, bro. That's premeditated and it's planned. And yeah, you could help. It's like putting you're fixing the effect and not the cause. You know what I mean? You might put a band-aid on a fucking amputated arm and stop the bleeding for a second, but like, you had to fix the root of the problem. You get what I mean? And until people learn that they got to fix the cause and not the effect, a lot of times you try to fix what's out here. You know what I mean? But that's the effect of what we're feeling inside. And people got to go dig deep and learn, like, yo, why do I feel this way internally? And once people figure out that, they realize they got to help themselves and get themselves through stuff. So I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame yourself. And I don't think anybody should blame themselves in these situations. You know what I mean? There's always more that we could do, whether it's a suicide or whether it's someone just passed. You know, it could have been, it could have been anything. And we always feel like, damn, like I should have been there more. I should have, like, but that shoulda is just you reflecting on more things that you wish you could have done while they were still here. So I would say, like, you know, always be there for your person. Always check up on people and see how they're doing. I would say that. Always check the mental. Don't feel like anyone's too macho or you're too much of a man or you're too whatever it is. Like nobody should. Everyone should be checking up on their homies, on their family, everyone all the time. But more than that, like just make sure that you cherish the people that you love and that you care about. That goes a long way. And keep being the version of yourself that brings positivity. And that's the most that you could do. What people do with that is really up to them. And it's unfortunate that these things happen, but we just got to keep striving to be the best that we can be, brother, for real.
And what you think? You think that's a sickness, or that's like probably the person you with that is driving you crazy, or is making it worse for you, or what?
What'd you say? I said,
Like going through depression. You think is probably you with a bad person, probably a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or is just a
not
sickness, or is something that you have in?
those things are triggering. That's like calling like spoons didn't make me fat. Like, you know, I made me fat. Yeah, spoons. I eat with spoons. Or dust didn't give me allergies. I have allergies and dust triggered my allergies. You get what I mean? Like pollen doesn't give allergies. It triggers allergies. And I think those situations, all those situations that I spoke about previously, where it's like you got to give yourself a fighting chance. If you know you're prone to depression, if you know that you are prone to these sorts of things and that other people's moods affect you, maybe don't get in a relationship that's toxic right now. If you know that that's something that could affect you, maybe don't overwhelm yourself with pressures. Maybe don't surround yourself with people that make you feel like shit all the time. You get what I mean? Like if smoking or drinking gives you extreme anxiety or all those things, maybe don't fill your body with these things. Like you have to know yourself enough to realize, oh shit, okay, I may be feeling this chick, but she's extremely toxic. Maybe she's depressed too. Maybe I don't have the strength to do that for both of us. Or maybe she makes me feel like shit or this person or whatever it is, but know yourself enough to catch yourself beforehand. You know what I mean? Like there's other situations we do that with in the first place. It's like so many people have a problem with being faithful in relationships. It's like, all right, cool. If you feel like you don't have enough willpower to not cheat on your girl, cool. Stay away from those situations. Don't accept the invite from your friend who's a baddie who's bringing up a bunch of other. That's like going straight into there. It's like and expecting to be okay. Like no, like give yourself a fighting chance, bro. Like do not put yourself in situations where you're going to be prone and triggered into depression. You know what I mean? And there's many different types. There's many different triggers. Some people are children of abuse. Some people are sexual, you know, victims, whether it be rape or attacks. Some people are triggered when it comes to parents or whatever it is that triggers you. You need to be aware of that. And you need to keep going, man. Like, you know, I'm sorry, some of the comments are distracting me, but yeah, man, I think that's the case. You need to know yourself enough and know what you're getting into, you know.
All right. Yeah, my bad. I went deep on that. You know what I mean? I just had to get that out my system.
Bro, I prefer these questions over 90% of other questions, so I appreciate it.
You know, like I
Thank
said,
you.
I already know your style, so I'm gonna keep it Chris Rivers all day. You know what I mean? I've been working
Oh,
with you long enough, so I already know normally what you're trying to focus on and stuff like that. You
that's
know?
love, bro.
But yeah, so now after the outcome of depression and all of that, how you do you go through that anymore? Or now you found a cure, or is it pills, or just your music? How did you overcome that? Like, you know what I mean? How you don't go back to that feeling?
Right. It's one of those things that's like I said, I had to really I had a few of those moments and life changing like moments where I just had to really sit down and give myself the time of day where it's like, all right, Chris, like what's going on? How can you fix these things? Like what is it about? Like I do an immense amount of self-analyzing, you know what I mean? And I think at this point, like what my most recent breakthrough came from I stopped giving a fuck. And I know that sounds weird, but like I gave up on a lot of things. Like I alleviated the pressure. Like a big part of my anxiety that triggered my depression or feelings of hopelessness was my career, was pursuing hip hop. It was one of those things where it's like, yo, like this shit has brought me nothing but, you know, heartache and misery and false expectations for over a decade, and constant anxiety of trying to, you know, better yourself or being put in situations that were anxiety filled and having all these things. And it's like, yo, like, and having this expectation of myself you know, that was not matching who I was right now. So I kind of gave up on all these expectations. Like I developed a self-love for myself, and I started treating myself better. Like someone in the kind of like, yeah, like I started eating better. I'm a vegan now. I'm not saying that leads to it, but like not having you know, whatever things that make you proud to be yourself, like it's that you have to do. You know what I mean? So like I really just started doing those things. I think depression is something that I realize is a part of me and that I need to embrace when I'm feeling something very low. I do it in a sense of like, you know, they say you shouldn't make decisions when you're hungry or tired or under, you know, the influence or inebriated. Like that's the same shit. Like when I'm depressed, I realize like, yo, is my mind at 100% right now? No, like I know I'm thinking from the lens of depression. Let me not take my thoughts too seriously. Let me wait till I'm lucid again, and then after that I'm gonna reassess myself and just get to the point where I'm like, all right, cool. And then, you know, you have to start doing those things. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Like I'm not in peak physical fitness. Like I would like to be more in shape, but I know I have to eat right, work out, stay consistent. Like it's not that hard to know what you got to do, but it's actually doing it. So, you know, there was a moniker of not being lazy about it. So coming up with those plans, surrounding myself with more positive people, making sure I didn't step into toxic relationships, only get into a relationship if I knew it was, you know, if I was going to be very happy about it. So I'm blessed to have that, have relationships better with my family, be more proud of myself, do those things. So, you know, I just gradually learn myself, and I still deal with it, you know, every day. Like I have my ebbs and highs and lows, and I have moments where it's really bad. I have weeks where it's really awesome, and I see it gradually getting better as I better myself and as I do more for myself. But I also see that, you know, it's something that I got to stay on top of, because I can easily fall back into that hole, and then everything else starts to crumble if I don't catch it. So, you know, it's about staying on top of it, learning yourself, learning what works for you, giving yourself a fighting chance, loving and accepting yourself. And me personally, I just gave up all the expectations I put on myself. Like like life is about getting through each day until you die, and filling each day with those little moments that matter, because a bunch of those little moments make up the whole day. And if you enjoyed those little moments, then you enjoyed your day. I was only looking for big moments and putting these at like, and I wasn't enjoying myself. So you have to just, you know, chill out a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're a speck of dust in a massive universe. Don't think so highly of yourself. Like just be yourself, embrace it, love it, and just keep going, man. Like, you know, you're only human, right? Facts.
Yeah, true, true. What you think about this quarantine? Like what we going through right now? Is it good for us? Is it bad for us? And especially as DJs and artists, like we can't do no shows right now. Everything is canceled. So what you think? What we going through? Is it gonna get better? Is it gonna get worse?
Oh, it you know, it depends on the perspective. You know, from the perspective of the planet, like this is fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, the planet is healing. It really showed that the viruses, the you know what's actually important. You know what I mean? Like, is it, you know, in 15, 20 years, if we don't become an interplanetary race, a race that lives on multiple planets, we will eventually run out of the, you know, reusable resources of this planet. And we might hit a point where we end up, you know, running out of water or having to fight for food or resources or dying because of the carbon emissions. Like it could get to that level. Or you think about, okay, cool. Like, is this good for humans? Like, the isolation part, you know what I mean? Like, I do think that, you know, not to get conspiracy based, but, you know, I don't believe what the media is telling us. I don't believe a lot. I know a good immune system is going to be, you know, a key to this, but it's really one of those things that's like, yo, like, you know, a lot of, it depends on the perspective. From the perspective of the working person, the 9 to 5 person, yeah, this is terrible. A lot of people are trying to figure it out. From the perspective of, you know, entrepreneurs, like even we're trying to figure it out, but it is a moment where the climate, not the actual climate of the planet, but the climate of you know, how you maneuver is changing. It's like almost like the reintroduction of the internet. When the internet came out, everyone needed to shift, like social media, everyone needed to shift how they produce, how they sold things. And this is the same thing that's happening now, where everyone's isolated. Like Netflix was bombing before this, but because streaming is up so much, and like they're doing really great now, certain companies, Jeff Bezos is going to be the world's first trillionaire because everyone's ordering things so much. So you have to learn how to adapt to these situations. So I think there's going to be a group of people who adapt and who come out on top in this situation. Obviously, I think there's going to be a group of people who do not. I do think that as far as the actual virus goes, there's so much misinformation and there's so much back and forth. I do think that they're scrambling to figure out what the hell's going on, or at least scrambling to figure out what to tell us so it doesn't get exposed that they're not telling us what's going on. You know what I mean? But it is what it is at this point. Like, just have a healthy immune system. I don't think shit is going back to normal anytime soon. But when you really think about it, like, I don't think how we were living previously was normal. I don't think that it's normal that 1% of the population owns 90% of the wealth. I don't think it's normal that there's more vacant homes than there are homeless people. I don't think it's normal that there were things that we were naturally supposed to be given, like food and water, that we could drink it from the land and pick it out of a tree, but now we have to pay for it. And some people die because they don't have enough money to get these natural resources that were monopolized by other people. And the system that we're in, that's really allocated and made for straight white men, that, and the people who run it, and it was made for that. If you're not a straight white male, then you're going to find a lot of hindrances in this system. So it's like, yo, like, at this point, I've been seeing a few more, people having more voices and people banding together and really realizing that the government and that these other things are kind of, the structure isn't what we thought it was. Even if we thought it was fucked up, it's worse than what it was. And it's really bad. And I think people, we're one step closer to a revolution. And that's just me giving a little bit of hope. But in the actuality of it, like, day to day, I think people just don't have fear. Just get your immune system up. Focus on that thing that you always wanted to do. Get your hobbies up. Learn that new skill and just keep going. You know what I mean? But there's just there's too much. That's a very rich area, and I don't want to get conspiracy mode.
So we kind of needed this in a way.
Huh?
So in a way, we kind of needed this, is what you're saying?
I would not be the one to say I am Chris Rivers and I think we need a coronavirus. I'm not saying that. I don't think so. I think what we
well, not coronavirus, but just like this pause, like everything just paused right now.
I think the earth needed to pause, like literally the earth, because the earth is dying. Like, and I think that some people did need a pause, because I know there's a lot of people who are right now like realizing like, oh shit, like everything I had in my life was meaningless. Like all this shit is pointless when it comes to life or death, or all the shit I was doing doesn't really matter to me. So I do think there was a point of some people realizing like, yo, like I want to pursue my purpose now, or I want to do more of that. Like I do think that happened, but I do think there is a massive amount of people who are struggling also in this moment. And there's always, with every change comes the sacrifices. And it just sucks to me that we're in a position where in order for us to change in a way that would save us all, a massive amount of us probably needs to be sacrificed in the process, that won't adapt to the times, that will be the product of victims for the product of the times. And it just sucks, man. And it sucks that we're in a position now, because if we trace it way back, if we go way back and do it a different way, then we won't even be in this position that we need to make changes in order and make sacrifices in order to make changes. But yeah, like it sucks. I do think that it's pushing the world in a direction. If that direction is forward, that's completely dependent on what we do as people with it. But it can easily set us back into a fucking, a V for Vendetta type world where everyone has curfews and like, yeah, it's weird, bro. It's weird. Like I'm just kind of waiting and seeing what's happening. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying.
The aftermath.
Yeah, the aftermath. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like I'm just waiting to see the aliens come. I'm good with that. Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, a lot of shit gonna start coming out to the light and shit.
Yeah.
So your next this project, you have a lot of features, or is all you?
Oh, me. There's 0 features on this one. It's called Self-Inflicted Bubble Boy, SIBB. The Bubble Boy comes from the fact that, we're all in this bubble right now. We're isolating ourselves. And Bubble Boy, but the self-inflicted part, Self-Inflicted Bubble Boy, is similar to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, lonely, feeling like you're alone or isolating yourself. Like when I get depressed and when I'm low, I tend to isolate myself. And when I feel like I want to grow, I want to isolate myself. And sometimes that's not the healthiest thing you can do, to isolate yourself. Sometimes that's a problem. And sometimes it feels like you're stronger that way, but you're actually stronger and when you have a collective of like-minded people who care about you and you care about them. So when I say Bubble Boy, it's self-inflicted Bubble Boy. I did it to myself. So that's coming out in June, in the middle of June, June 18th. And yeah, it's all me on this one. Like I said, I just wanted to see what I could do. And that's the whole concept, like Bubble Boy, like I'm isolated by myself. So it's just me doing all the stuff. And yeah, man, it was fun to make. There's definitely a lot of vibes and dope shit in there. There's a lot of growth artistically, and just what I'm saying is cool. And on top of that, like, yeah, it's a predecessor to things to come. You know what I mean? So I got way more shit coming, but that one's definitely gonna drop in, ear candy for the time being.
And what can we find this at Spotify or all social media or digital
Yeah,
platform?
everywhere, bro. I'm putting Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. It might be on MySpace. I don't fucking know. iTunes. Sound everywhere that you have a streaming platform. I would say go there. If you have Spotify, go there. But it's gonna drop. I'm gonna put it out. I'm gonna release it on my social medias. I'm gonna put out the blast, and I'm gonna put it out everywhere so people can listen to it. Got singles coming on the way, videos that I'm shooting like in isolation, shooting videos on my phone, figuring it out in the crib, doing a bunch of different stuff. I got a few dope videographers that's helping me like with the editing part and different things like that. But yeah, just learning how I could do as much of this by myself as possible to keep the concept alive while still outsourcing for the things that I don't know how to do. Yeah, man, it's gonna be really dope.
And before we get up out of here, man, I don't want to take too much of your time. Any advice you want to give out to up and coming artists that are watching, you know what I'm saying, or
Oh
listening?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Be yourself, man. It took me. I think the biggest hindrance in my career was not knowing who I was. I think that there was a lot of time in my career where I was either pulled in a lot of different directions. People telling me I was supposed to be this, or me thinking I was supposed to be this, where I wasn't as genuine to myself, and I had to keep rebranding myself. Even now, the music I'm making is different than what I've made to a degree because I keep growing and learning and trying to find who I am as a person. I think trusting yourself, knowing yourself, and having fun, man. You have to be yourself so that your brand matches your words and it matches your identity, because people are you're the only person that could be you in the best way. You will be the worst Chris Rivers or a shitty June, but you're the only person who could be the maximum form of yourself. So do that. And second thing I would say is that this is not a solo sport. A lot of people could do almost everything by themselves. You could do a lot by yourself, but I would say it helps a lot if you have people around you that you trust, that share your vision, that it goes a long way. So definitely get people that you trust, get that on the way, and then also learn yourself, develop your craft, and also learn the business. Too many people don't know the actuality of the business in this. Understand if you want to be a Drake type artist, that's certain things you want to do. If you want to be underground or however level you want to get to, you have to learn the business aspect of it, because this is 90% business. That actually being a rapper is less than 10% actually rapping. Most of this is business. So please learn that, read up on the books, and just always be yourself, and don't forget to have fun, man. Like those are just a nutshell. If I give people don't forget to have fun, because in the midst of all of this, it's way too easy to get discouraged. It's way too easy to feel like you're putting in more work than the rewards you're getting back. But you need to remember, if this is what I want to do, I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna give the world what I have to give. Know that it's the thing that you love, and just keep going beyond. Right behind fear, right behind failure, it's everything you ever wanted. So please step past that and just keep going, man. For real.
Let them know your social media, where to find you, and all of that. Your
Oh
YouTube, your
yeah,
Spotify, all of that.
big facts, man. Dragons and Rivers, spelled just like that. Dragons and Rivers. That's my Instagram. I'm on there the most. Only Chris Rivers is Twitter and Facebook. Chris Rivers. Definitely SIBB, Self-Inflicted Bubble Boy, coming soon. Spotify's Chris Rivers. Just check it all out, man. Follow me, Dragons and Rivers. You'll get all the updates there on Instagram right here, man. And yeah, bro. I appreciate this, man, June. You're really the man. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the love, and we're gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, I
For real.
wanted to keep it Chris Rivers, and I wanted to touch real about, that topic that me and you spoke about, you know what I mean? Like I
Facts.
said, I wanted to dedicate this interview right here to a friend of mine, you know what I mean, that he loved the music, he loved your work, and he was there right by me, so, you know what I mean? It
Oh,
was
that'd be
it was
dope,
only
man.
right, you know what I mean? And every
Yeah,
time I
that's
call,
a
you know what I
fact.
mean, you always there. Can we leave out with a freestyle?
Of course, of
Just
course. I
a
got you,
quick,
bro.
a quick,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you want, just spit
I
it
got
in.
you, man. Let's go.
Let's
Rose in the
go.
shadows, packing the black rose. When niggas act low, I'm in the back row observing black crows. Keep my circle tight like assholes. I would say pause, but you get more for acting mad slow. Fucking bitches that shallow. Only deep connections on this side. No one needs impressions when we ride. No one keeps possessions when we die. No one sees protection when we lie. No one seems to mention when we cry. No one thinks obsession when there's blessings in their eyes. Wonderful fact, a month or two back, I was running through laps and gunning through tracks, just wanting to crack, breaking down the pieces with it crumbling back. And who was there? Just me. That's the way it must be. Had to learn to trust me. Hey, keep my thoughts to myself. Still ain't holding my wealth. If you giving up crumbs to these niggas, fall on themselves. Wicked witches will melt. Fickle niggas will dwell. And you giving them hell. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sorry, I wanted to wrap that one because of everything we talked about. But yeah, definitely, bro. I appreciate
Yo,
this.
once again, I appreciate you for being here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go out with this one song. I remember you came to North and we did the you gave me the opportunity to DJ for you. We did the 24 hours of peace. So I got
Yes.
one record. I got a record that says it was like a freestyle, Dragon Born freestyle. You know what I mean?
Oh
I was
yeah.
gonna play that to shut it down. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And like
love,
I
bro,
said, man,
love, bro. That was like 8
like I
years
said,
ago.
thank you for the
This is a
opportunity.
classic. Thank you, bro.
Thank you for the opportunity, and we out with this one, man. See you in the next one, Chris.
Peace. Peace,
Salute.
King.
Big homie.
Love.
You already know Chris Rivers holding it down with DJ June. I'm gonna go out with this joint right here that I did with Chris Rivers. Catch me on the next one.
Yellow, bars are sharper than guillotines. Crafted from a black to black dragons, my inner being. Words are like a hearse, I'm with this verse, I will kill your dreams. Your bones will make a throne and take a clone just to intervene. Cause only me could ever see and match my ability. My artillery will lyrically defeat your utility. Swift and seas and brothers be compatible with the trinity. Spreading forward, killer metaphors and deadly soliloquy. From return of the catastrophe, constantly crack anatomy. A pattern sees a liquefied thoughts to form a battery. Power this calamity, control is no reality.
Check out the next flyer for the next artist that I'm gonna have, probably a Latino or a hip hop artist. I'll see you on the next one. Salute.